Nameco right here. I'm Dustin. Nice finger point. This is your Week 6 Fantasy Fix. Pumped to talk a little football before we get into it, Mr. Nameco.
So here's the deal. If you're doing really well in your leagues, that means you're very smart at fantasy. Good for you. If you're doing terrible in your leagues, sorry, it's been bad luck. But either way, you should join daily. So join, see, like that? I changed up a little bit for once. I'm sure they appreciate it, but this is going to be the same. Join DraftKings using the promo code FST or follow the card link in the description below. Deposit at least $5 in the month of October, and you, yes you, will get a Fantasy Smack Talk t-shirt from Dustin, and he will autograph it for you or draw you a picture if you specifically want a picture. Yeah.
I guess.
And they'll give you entry into a contest.
Free cash game. It's a win-win. We had a comment in one of our videos this week where people wanted to hear a little bit about some defense strategy and kind of what we do. I mean, I stream my defenses. I also, this time of year, I think about carrying 2 defenses and then do the 1 week ahead thing where I already have my defense for week 7, and then it just keeps going and going. But there are some other things to consider too in terms of what defense you're looking to pick up. I mean, one thing that you definitely want, if you can help it, is obviously a defense playing at home is an advantage. Look at the NFL lines. Take a look and see which games are supposed to be low scoring. And if there's a low scoring game with a heavy favorited team, they're going to be playing with a lead in a low scoring game. You got to like that because the defense playing with the lead is going to have more opportunities to get points because the other team's going to be passing. So that's another thing too. Is it a pass first team that they're playing or a run first team? Again, you get more chances for a pick 6, an interception, sacks if they're throwing the ball more than running the ball. So just some things to consider there.
All right. And one other thing about defenses that Dustin makes a very good point about is look at Vegas. That is very key.
They are so good at
and
what
what
they do.
Vegas always does is if you have a team traveling from west to east coast, that plays a lot of favors into the over-under, so keep that in mind as well. You like to be the defense that's at home against a team that traveled a long way to get there.
It's a lot of little factors that add up into helping to make those decisions, but they are so unbelievably good at making those
Vegas
lines.
is perfect.
It is absolutely sick. All right, we got some forum questions. First one comes from Marteezy.
Marteezy!
Should they do this trade, give up Moncrief, and get Brennan LaFell?
This one's tough. It's definitely tough, and Moncrief does have upside, and this is the way that I look at it. If this is a guy that'll probably make your lineup with the buys coming up a couple of the weeks, then I would actually keep Moncrief in that situation. If you're looking for the highest upside guy, though, I would maybe go with LaFell here, because if he's like a wide receiver 5 on your bench and you're never going to play him unless that he starts blowing up, I don't think Moncrief's ceiling is nearly as high as LaFell's. However, his floor also isn't nearly as low because it's the Patriots, and they're crazy and they could cut LaFell next week. So, hope that kind of helped. It really depends on your situation. All right, Dustin. TJ Hill 0312 wants to know, he has all 3 Cardinals running backs. What should he do?
I mean, it's a tricky situation.
That's how I wrote it, by the way.
But I am going to tell you exactly what you should do. Unless it's a crazy keeper league, you're stuck with David Johnson. I mean, he doesn't have any trade value. You can't drop him, so you're stuck with David Johnson. If you try to trade, you can't get value for Ellington. You can only get value for Chris Johnson. It's not going to be a lot, but you could get some value for Chris Johnson. Trade Chris Johnson, get what you can get, and just hope Ellington takes the job back over. I mean, I do think it's a coin flip that happens. I mean,
I don't think it's happening. They love Chris Johnson.
But I'm just saying, though, you can't carry all 3 guys.
Sure. Oh,
and you can't drop Ellington or Johnson.
No, you can't.
So the only thing that you can do is try to get a little bit of value for Johnson and hope that Ellington takes the job back. That's really the only thing you can do. I mean,
or if you get suckers in your league, look at Ellington had a nice little. You would send in the note like Ellington came back, had a big game.
They don't know he only touched the ball 4 times.
Right? Maybe it's rather do.
Maybe they do, but that's what I would do. I mean, because I still think Ellington has a chance of getting that job back.
Loves Ellington too much.
All right, R.P. Gilbert. He's got his new toy West, running back for Kansas City. Do they start them, or do they go with maybe a safer wide receiver in Andre Johnson versus New England, or Willie Snead versus Atlanta? What are you doing?
So considering in 6 out of my 7 leagues, I got West, I think you're going to know my answer here. I got a lot of stock in this guy. He is scary. I'll talk about him more coming up, but out of these, and Andre I'll talk about, Snead's very interesting because Atlanta, it's tough. I'm still going West. I'm going West, especially if it's a standard. If it's a standard, I'm going West. PPR, I might consider Snead. But standard, I'm definitely going West here. And I'll explain why in a little bit.
All right, let's get into those dud sleepers and deep sleepers. My dud is the entire Redskins running back situation.
Wow.
It's
got, like,
turning
4
into
duds.
an absolute mess. And, I mean, just stay away from it if you can. I mean, it's a tough matchup against the Jets. I'm not liking that. They're on the road. Jets are coming off of a bye. They're going to be fresh. I just don't like it. I'm staying away from it if I can. My sleeper's Jordan Matthews. Now, how's he a sleeper? I think a lot of people are considering benching him if they haven't already started benching him, but this isn't the week to do it, I don't think. I like the matchup. I think there's going to be a lot of points in that Giants game. I think this is the week where Matthews gets things going.
I sure hope so.
And then my deep sleeper's in that same game, Shane Vereen. You know, this is a guy that was only owned in about 50% of leagues, you know, coming into last week. I think he got scooped up in a lot of leagues, and I think any type of PPR league, you really need to consider starting him. There's some receivers banged up out there with the Giants. We'll see who ends up playing, but the Giants need to use Vereen. The guy's good. We saw what we did. We saw what he did last week. Throw the guy the ball.
All right, my dud is going to be LeGarrette Blount. And he's got a nice matchup against the Colts, and he could easily fall in the end zone once, maybe twice. Who knows if Brady's getting, taken down in the 3 times. But it's such a tough thing to gamble on. He is so touchdown dependent. He has only averaged 11 rushing attempts per game. Dion Lewis,
Boy,
is the man out there. And if
Love
you're in a
that guy.
PP, so you're banking on those touchdowns. So it could happen, yes, but it's just a little bit scary. So I have him as a low-end RB2 in my rankings. And the other thing, in a PPR, he's only had 1 target this year. Because again, Dion Lewis gets all the targets.
love that guy.
All right, my sleeper is going to be West, the Kansas City running back playing against Minnesota. Here's why. Minnesota's very bad against the run to start with. You've heard all the hype, it's not Niles Davis, it's West, and everyone thought that was crazy. So I dug into that a little bit more. First of all, the combine stuff for West is just out of this world. He is a freak athlete. Andy Reid keeps talking him up, but the real thing is, Niles Davis wasn't that great every time Charles went down. Sure, he had some big games, but it was a volume play. He was averaging like 3 yards per carry. He was clearly a lot worse than Charles, and I think it was more volume. So if West is a better player and gets the same amount of volume, I just think there's a lot of upside here for the kid. So, and who knows what Andy Reid's going to do. But he reminds me of Brian Westbrook type player. He's got some hands too. Ooh, sneaky. Got a lot of faith. Come on, buddy. All right, my deep sleeper is going to be Andre Johnson. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, he had 1 good game, so now Namecoat thinks he's great again. And
That's
sure,
not what I was thinking.
that helps. That does help. But Andre Johnson's learning a new offense with the Colts. And the fact of the matter is, look at Steve Smith. Look at Larry Fitzgerald. There are some old receivers that are doing just fine. And Andre wasn't really a speed timing guy as much as those two. He was he did have nice speed for his size, but he's still a monster receiver. And all the coverage for the Patriots, I think, will be rolled over to make sure Hilton stopped and Gore stopped. So I think Andre has deep sleeper potential. I wouldn't be shocked if he falls in the end zone again this week.
Done?
Yes, go ahead. I will go quick the rest of the time because Dust gets
Well,
mad
we're
if I
done.
talk.
You're done talking, so. Jeez. All right, let's get into Mike's picks.
Need to finish here.
His duds, Pierre Garçon. No one's liking the Redskins this week. It's just not that great of a matchup. He hasn't looked that good. Could be on Revis Island. His sleeper's actually CJ Spiller, who he actually just dropped in one of our leagues, but that's a side note. Will Spiller finally get involved in that offense? It could definitely happen this week. Should be a high-scoring divisional game. It's going to be a fun Thursday night game. I think that's going to be a fun one to watch. He's liking CJ Spiller. And then his deep sleeper, Stephon Diggs. This is actually, I like this call. Minnesota's got some injuries at wide receiver. Pay attention to that. See who ends up playing. But, with Johnson and Wallace. But Diggs got, I think, 10 targets the last game before their bye. So he could be a sneaky play. They're playing a KC defense that hasn't been that good against the pass. So Diggs, not a bad deep sleeper. Now you're not going to say anything.
I'm just saying, go ahead and finish it. Close it up. What a mean guy. Worst boss ever.
Maybe right here, I'm Dustin. Get in the forums if you got any questions. Sign up for DraftKings. Subscribe to our channel. Ooh. Little flick.
That was good.